As all of you already know, the 2024 NFL Combine is well underway. Superstars are out there trying to impress, but what you may have missed, Raiders fans, is the 20-plus minute interview of Coach Antonio Pierce during the Combine. Stay tuned for this episode of the Raider D podcast, because today we're going to be talking about it, all of the highlights and what we can glean from what Coach Antonio Pierce had to say. So let's just jump in a couple of the key points. First and foremost, what is on everybody's mind in the Raider Nation is who are we going to have as QB1 in the NFL draft? Well, if you listen to Coach AP, it's made pretty clear.
I just want a leader. I want a guy that can lead, that wants to compete. I want a guy that's not afraid of a challenge, because this is a big challenge that we have in front of us. As long as Patrick Mahomes in that division, and I want somebody that says, you know what, I want to go for that challenge, because that's the same way I look at it going against, those other three head coaches in this division. And then somebody that just wants to really compete. I think you want somebody that's been battle tested. That, like I said, talked about it. He's been through adversity. That's had challenges. That had to either have a competition battle. He wasn't just handed the keys day one. He's kind of went through that, because that's going to be a process here, whatever we do. You know what I mean? I don't care if we're bringing a veteran or not. Aiden's our starter. They're going to beat out Aiden. You know what I mean? That's the facts, and that's not coaching talk. Shit, Aiden did a hell of a job, man. And the thing about it, he hasn't blinked. With all this noise and all this stuff about the quarterback play, he just comes to work every day, works out, does his thing. It's beautiful.
All right, Raider Nation. So as you can see, Coach AP clearly stands behind his QB1 AOC. That is Aiden O'Connell. He is QB1 until somebody can come in and take that title from him. And as Coach Antonio Pierce said, this guy is already in the building in February working his tail off to try and solidify his position as QB1. Now here comes the question is, are we going to hit the free agency and grab one of these retread quarterbacks who are in their 30 to 40-year-old age range? Well, if you listen to what Coach AP has to say, I think it's pretty telling of what we're not going to be doing. Take a listen.
You don't put a Band-Aid in that position. That's old, man. That's old. I think the Raiders, we've seen that enough in this organization. And I know we had Derek Carr here for a bunch of years, but before him and after him, it's been a bunch of one-stop guys. And I don't think any organization wants that. You want the face of your franchise to be the quarterback, to be that guy you can count on for the next 2 years.
So as you can see, Raider Nation, Coach Antonio Pierce is not at all interested in bringing in these 1 or 2 year stopgap quarterbacks. We are looking for the quarterback of the future. Again, whether that's AOC or somebody we bring in the draft or a younger guy that we bring through free agency or a trade. Possibly talking about a Justin Fields here. I don't think it's likely. I think it's more likely that we hit the draft, let these 2 young guys battle it out, and maybe keep a Brian Hoyer around just as one of those emergency case quarterbacks who's going to be a cheap veteran. Let's also talk into some of the defense and the mindset of what Coach AP has installed and what he's planning on doing as far as filling those gaps and bringing in some studs in the free agency, as well as looking at some people here in the draft. Check it out.
And on defense, listen, we got some ends, and them boys showed up, right? You know what you're going to give them max. Malcolm Kuntz is coming to his own, and Tyree will be just fine. But just how good would it look if you just put a couple more pieces in the middle of that defense, man?
Man, I absolutely love it. At being a defensive-minded guy, I think defenses win championships, and we finally have a coach who embodies everything that the Raiders need, and that is a top-tier, top-flight defense. We really need to fill a few holes, but man, once we do, it's going to be scary. And I love the enthusiasm of Coach AP and what he's thinking about grabbing some superstar out there in free agency, plugging him in the middle next to Tyree, Max, and Malcolm. We would have a devastating front four. What do you think, Raider Nation? Hit me down in the comments and tell me. Now, we're going to get a little bit into the trenches and hear what Coach AP has to say about how important it is for that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would like to build this team. I think the Intel see the same way. It's got to be built in the trenches, man. I get it. We're going to get a skilled guy, get a quarterback. Hell, nobody blocked for him. What does it matter? So really, I'd love to see us just really be really sound up front, man. I thought our offensive line the last part of the season did a hell of a job, man. I thought they got together, they battled. Guys battling through injuries, and they didn't want to miss one snap, and they played for one another. But you want to have that consistent group each and every week, and then you want to have a core group of guys. Again, I was fortunate for the organization I played for that those guys played together for 7 years consecutively, and that was impressive to see. And when you look at teams across the league, I know it's hard for free agency, but you like to see that group, because that's the one position we got the most players on the field at one time, right? Those 5 alignment. And most teams, when they have this, pretty goddamn good, regardless of who's that quarterback, that running back, because they set the tone. And I think our guys really took pride in that. Colton Miller did a hell of a job. Jermaine, Mumford, Dylan. I mean, those guys, man, they battled their ass off. And I know it's free agency. You don't know who's going to come back and go, but whoever we put in those places, man, that's going to be the mindset.
So you can see, Raider Nation, we have some major holes that we need to fill. Whether or not we're going to bring back a few key guys on that offensive line like Andre James, Van Roten, or Jermaine Illuminor, it remains to be seen. But it's clear that AP has this on the forefront of his mind, as well as Tom Telesco and the scouting staff. We need to hit the draft, but we also need to hit that free agency. We want to make sure that we have a good mix of veterans and youth and talent out there in the trenches. All right, guys, if you've made it this long in the video, congrats and salute to you, Raider Nation, for supporting the Raider D podcast. But don't worry, we ain't done yet. We got to talk about one more thing, and that is the controversy over the Mahomes rules. Yes, the Mahomes rules. If you haven't heard about it yet, I don't know, maybe you've been sleeping under a rock or something. But the fact is, it was addressed once again that there has been some negative press and haters out there, i.e. Mike Florio, i.e. Mick Lombardi, out there saying that AP should just shut his mouth. Well, I think they should just shut their mouth, and I love the fact that Coach AP was asked about it in this interview, and let's check out his response because it's classic.
Do you just kind of laugh because now people are actually keying in on everything that you say and what Antonio Pierce has to say?
I always heard good press, bad press is press. And if people want to talk about the Raiders in February, then we're doing something right. Even if they think it's wrong, they'll be right at some point.